The derelict signal captain Marcus Thorne gripped the controls of his fighter, a defiant's edge, as he approached the massive alien vessel drifting in the void. 3 days ago, long-range sensors had picked up a distress beacon from the Kepler. Sector or region supposedly empty, except for the debris of ancient wars. Command had sent him alone. They couldn't spare a full squadron for what might be another false alarm. The ship before him defied classification. Its hull gleamed like liquid mercury, covered in symbols that seemed to shift when he wasn't looking. Directly at them. Unlike the angular, utilitarian designs humans favored, this vessel flowed like frozen music, all curves and impossible geometries that hurt his eyes to follow. Defiance edge to Central Command, Marcus transmitted. I've reached the source. It's definitely not human. Static crackled back. He was too far out for real-time communication. Whatever happened here, he was on his own. The ship's airlock cycled with a whisper-soft hiss, revealing corridors that pulsed with bioluminescent veins running along the walls. The air was breathable. His scanner confirmed, though it carried an odd sweetness like ozone after rain. Each step echoed strangely, as if the ship itself was listening. Marcus followed the beacon's signal deeper into the vessel, past chambers filled with crystalline structures and pools of liquid starlight. The technology was beyond anything in the databases, yet something about it felt familiar, like a half-remembered dream. The signal led him to what could only be a throne room. At its center, upon a dais of woven light, lay a figure that made him forget to breathe. She was unmistakably alien, yet hauntingly beautiful. Her skin held the pale luminescence of moonlight, marked with intricate silver patterns that traced her features like living tattoos. Hair like spun platinum fell around shoulders that rose and fell with labored breathing. Her limbs were too long, too graceful for human proportions, and when her eyes fluttered open, they held depths like nebula. Those eyes fixed on Marcus with startling intensity. She struggled to sit up, her movements weak but retaining an undeniable regality. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that resonated in his chest. "The flame-winged one," she whispered in accented but clear standard. "You have come at last." Marcus raised his hands peacefully, his rifle forgotten. "I'm just a pilot, miss. I picked up your distress signal." "Are you hurt?" She studied his face with an expression of wonder and relief. A smile touched her lips, the first genuine expression of hope he'd seen in years of war. "You're him," she said with quiet certainty that shook him to his core. The last of the Valdus. Marcus knelt beside the alien woman, medical training overriding his confusion. "Let me help you," he said, pulling out his field kit. "What's your name?" "Zephyra," she replied, her voice growing stronger. "Last daughter of the Valdus hegemony." The words carried weight, like titles from a forgotten epic. "Our star died 3 cycles ago. I am the final keeper of our memories." As Marcus checked her vitals with his scanner, the readings made no sense. Her biology was unlike anything in human databases, yet his hands moved with instinctive knowledge, adjusting settings he'd never learned to use. Zephyra watched his movements with growing amazement. "How do you know the healing sequences?" she asked. "Only Valdus know the harmonic resonances needed to—" "I don't know what you're talking about," Marcus interrupted, but his voice lacked conviction. The scanner was emitting a soft melody, its display showing patterns that felt right, in ways he couldn't explain. Zephyra sat up straighter, her weakness fading as the device worked. "For 10,000 years, my people searched the stars for the one spoken of in the ancient texts. Born of Terra's forge, marked by starfire, he shall carry the wisdom of both worlds to heal the great wound in space. Lady, I think you've got the wrong guy." Marcus tried to laugh, but it came out hollow. "I'm just a fighter pilot from New Brasilia. No prophecies, no special powers. I fix things that are broken and shoot things that need shooting. The ship around them seemed to pulse. In disagreement, panels lit up at Marcus's presence, responding to movements he hadn't made. Zephyra gestured to the awakening technology. The ship recognizes you. Our vessels only respond to those with the genetic markers of the Valdris royal line, or to the flame-winged one. She stood gracefully, her silver markings now glowing softly. May I show you something? Before Marcus could protest, Zephyra placed her palm against a crystalline wall. The chamber filled with holographic starfields, showing systems Marcus had never seen yet somehow recognized. She pointed to a dark region, where stars simply ... ended. The Devourers came from outside our galaxy. They consume light itself, leaving only void. My people fought them for millennia, but we lacked something crucial: the raw adaptability, the stubborn refusal to surrender that defines your species. Marcus stared at the display, watching civilizations flicker and die. What happened to your people? We evacuated our remaining population to hidden worlds, but our technology failed. We needed someone who could bridge our knowledge with human intuition. Zephyra's eyes blazed with sudden hope. Someone who could learn our ways without losing their own nature. As if responding to her words, Marcus felt something shift in his mind, vast libraries of information stirring to life. Technologies that made perfect sense, despite being alien moments before. This is impossible, he whispered, but his hands were already moving toward the ship's controls. Awakening the ancient arsenal, the ship's bridge materialized around them as walls shifted like living mercury. Marcus found himself standing before a command throne that seemed grown rather than built, its surface rippling to accommodate his human proportions. Every instinct screamed that he didn't belong here, yet his body moved with practiced familiarity. The knowledge is encoded in your genetic structure, Zephyra explained, taking her place at a secondary console. Your species carries dormant sequences planted by my ancestors eons ago, a failsafe for this moment. Marcus's hands danced across controls that appeared at his touch. Star charts bloomed in the air around him, showing the positions of human colonies, alien territories, and the growing void where the Devourers had passed. 3 systems had gone dark in the past month alone. They're accelerating, he said, though he wasn't sure how he knew. Moving toward the core worlds. The implications hit him like a physical blow. Earth. They're heading for Earth. Your homeworld's gravitational resonance is perfect for their purposes, Zephyra confirmed grimly. They will use it as an anchor. Point to drain this entire spiral arm. Rage flared in Marcus's chest, not just human anger, but something older and more refined. The ship responded to his emotion, weapon systems coming online with predatory grace. He could feel the vessel's capabilities: reality warping drives, quantum artillery, shields that could turn enemy fire into pure energy. Show me how to fight them, he growled. Zephyra's silver markings pulsed brighter. The Valdris way is harmony, using an opponent's strength against them, finding balance in conflict. But you are human. Your way is ... She searched for words. More direct. Marcus grinned fiercely. We call it hitting things until they stop moving. Yes, that is why you were chosen. Zephyra moved to stand beside him, her hand resting on his shoulder. My people forgot how to be angry. We became so civilized that we lost the will to truly fight. But your species burns with the fire of young stars. The tactical display shifted, showing Marcus designs for hybrid weapons. Valdris elegance merged with human brutality. Beam weapons that could punch through dark matter. Missiles that folded space around themselves. Fighters that could phase between dimensions. One ship won't be enough, Marcus said, studying the enemy formations. Even with this technology, there are too many of them. Then we will not fight with one ship. Zephyra's smile was radiant. The Valdris fleet was not destroyed. It was hidden. waiting for someone who could awaken it. The star field around them exploded into motion as hundreds of vessels decloaked. Ships of living metal and crystallized light, each one responding to Marcus's presence like pack animals recognizing their alpha. The sensation was intoxicating, not just commanding a fleet, but being part of it. The Devourers consumed our crews, but the ships remember, Zephyr explained. They have been dreaming of vengeance for 1,000 years. Now they have someone to follow into battle. Marcus felt the weight of destiny settling on his shoulders. Somewhere in human space, colony worlds were preparing for evacuation, unaware. That salvation was coming from the most impossible source imaginable. The Battle of Two Worlds, 3 days later. Marcus stood on the bridge of the flagship Starweaver as the combined fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. Earth hung in the distance like a blue jewel, but between them and home stretched a wall of absolute darkness, the Devourer Armada. Human vessels are holding defensive positions around Earth, reported Lieutenant Commander Diana Holt, Marcus's former wingman who had arrived with reinforcements. She stared in amazement at the alien bridge around her. They're not going to believe this, Marcus. They don't have to believe it, Marcus replied, his voice carrying new harmonics learned from Zephora. They just have to survive long enough for us to work. The enemy fleet was a nightmare of impossible geometry ships that seemed to exist in too many dimensions at once, their hulls drinking light and leaving wounds in space itself. They moved with the coordinated precision of a single organism, turning toward the approaching Valdris fleet like a vast predator sensing prey. Zephyr's fingers danced over her console, translating tactical data into formats human minds could process. They are confused by your presence. The Devourers have never encountered a hybrid consciousness before. Good. Confusion is something I can work with. Marcus opened a channel to both fleets. All ships, this is Captain Marcus Thorne. I know this looks impossible, but I need you to trust me. Human vessels, form up with your new wingmen. They're on our side. The channels erupted in disbelief and questions, but training took over. Human pilots found themselves flying alongside. Vessels of living starlight, their targeting systems suddenly enhanced by alien precision. The two technologies meshed like pieces of a puzzle that had been separated for millennia. Devourers are moving to intercept, Diana reported. They single quotes wait. What the hell are those things doing? The enemy ships were changing their dark halls, opening like flowers to reveal cores of hungry void. Space itself began to warp around them, light bending and dying as they prepared to feed. They're trying to drain our life force directly, Zephora explained urgently. This is how they destroyed my people, not through weapons, but by consuming the energy that animates us. Marcus felt the pull immediately, a terrible hunger reaching across space to tear the warmth from his bones. Around him, human crew members staggered as their life force began to bleed away. But something else stirred in response. The ancient rage of humanity went backed into a corner. Like hell, Marcus snarled, and the Valdris fleet blazed to life around him. The hybrid weapons, engaged in a symphony of destruction. Quantum torpedoes wrapped in human ingenuity tore through Devourer shields that had never been breached. Energy beams guided by Valdris precision and powered by human fury carved impossible paths through enemy formations. Most importantly, the life drain attacks that had destroyed a dozen civilizations simply bounced off the hybrid consciousness Marcus had become. They can't consume what they don't understand, he realized, broadcasting the discovery to all ships. Human and Valdris together were something new, something they've never tasted before. The tide of battle turned as mixed crews found there. Rhythm, human adaptability, perfectly complementing Valdris technology. Earth's defense fleets joined the assault, their crude kinetic weapons devastating enemies. already weakened by exotic attacks. But Marcus could feel the cost in his bones. This level of integration was burning through his human physiology like fire through paper. The price of transcendence, the last devourer ship, collapsed into itself with a sound like reality tearing. Around the Sol system, a combined fleet of human and Valdris vessels hung in space, their crews cheering across species barriers that had existed for millennia. Earth was safe. The galaxy was safe, but Marcus was dying. He could feel his human biology failing as the Valdris modifications completed their work. His cells were transforming, becoming something beyond either species, something that could permanently bridge the gap between human tenacity and alien wisdom. The process was irreversible and likely fatal. "There is a way," Zephyra said softly, her hand finding his as he collapsed into the command throne. "But you would no longer be fully human." Around them, the bridge had become a fusion of technologies that shouldn't coexist. Human tactical displays merged seamlessly with Valdris probability matrices. Earth's defense coordinators spoke directly with Valdris fleet commanders, planning the reconstruction of damaged worlds and the integration of technologies that would revolutionize both civilizations. Marcus watched Diana coordinate relief efforts with alien specialists, her natural leadership enhanced by translation protocols he'd never seen before. Humanity was already changing, becoming something greater through contact with the Valdris. The transformation he was undergoing was just the first step in a process that would eventually encompass both species. "Will I still be me?" he asked. "Zephyra, you will be more than you," she replied, her silver markings now pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. The prophecies spoke of a bridge between worlds, but they did not say the bridge would be temporary. Marcus closed his eyes and felt the change accelerate. His consciousness expanded to encompass not just the flagship, but the entire hybrid fleet. Through their sensors, he could perceive the universe in ways no purely human mind ever could, seeing the mathematical beauty underlying stellar formation, feeling the gravitational songs of orbiting worlds, understanding the deep currents of dark matter that connected all things. But beneath the cosmic awareness, his human core remained intact. The stubborn refusal to give up, the instinct to protect those who couldn't protect themselves, the fierce joy of standing alongside friends in impossible circumstances. When Marcus opened his eyes again, they held depths like Zephyra's stellar, nurseries and quantum foam, and the birthlight of galaxies. But when he smiled, it was entirely human. "So, what happens now?" Diana asked from the tactical station, her voice carefully controlled despite the wonder in her eyes. Marcus stood, feeling the strength of two species flowing through him. Around Earth, human and Valdris ships were already beginning joint patrols, their crews learning from each other with the rapid adaptation that defined both races when pushed to excel. "Now we explore the galaxy together," he said, his voice carrying harmonics that made the bridge hum with resonance. Humans and Valdris, teaching each other, protecting each other. The devourers are gone, but there are other threats out there, other civilizations that need what we can offer. Zephyra stepped beside him, her hand intertwining with his transformed fingers. "The flame-winged one has completed his destiny." Marcus grinned with ancient mischief and very human determination. "Destiny's just the beginning. Now comes the fun part, figuring out what impossible thing to do next." The hybrid fleet turned toward the unknown reaches of space, carrying the combined hopes of two species and the promise that some prophecies, when fulfilled, mark not an ending but a glorious new beginning.